the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Game plan for Jalen Milroe is going to be the same as it is for a Haynes King.
Okay. I like it. Matt Green, fourth and forever. We're going to start with Georgia and Bama because now they're on a collision course in the SEC title game. And I think it's also best for everybody involved where it's like, I'm glad that game means something because I would have, look, the Auburn Tigers should have beaten Alabama on Saturday night in the Plains. That should have happened. The punt drop, the muff punt was terrible. And then obviously fourth and forever and rushing two that we'll get into in a second here. Auburn should have won this football game. And they did not. It's over. It's tough. Like, I don't know how you... It's going to be a tough offseason for the Auburn Tigers and just feeling like you really let one get away. And Alabama just has been finding a way. And I have a stat from Connor O'Gara, friend of the pod of Saturday Down South that I'll get to in a second that I thought was awesome in his column recapping this. But, I mean, the fourth and forever touchdown to Isaiah Bond was unbelievable. Like, I lost it in my living room seeing this happen in real time, especially the play right before it. It's like Jalen, like a bad snap puts him at fourth and forever to begin with. And you're like, oh, wow, this is how it ends. The playoff hopes and everything else. And the House of Horrors continue for Alabama.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that third and goal where he's just chilling, like 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage, looking for someone to be open. Like, he probably could have picked up 10-15 on third down to make it a fourth and goal from like the 12 or something.
No, you're right. I mean, it wasn't even close. The him being over the line and getting the penalty there, and that, I mean, all of it was just craziness. And also, if he doesn't do that and he just runs, do they still win? Do they try and run the football on fourth and goal? I mean, that's another part of it. It's like you look at it and it's like it happened that way, and you're like, wow, it actually ended up working out for Alabama that they did get pushed back that far and that they did find Isaiah Bond in the left corner of the end zone here. But I mean, Matt, your immediate reaction to Alabama coming from behind, stealing one in Auburn late, a game they had no business winning. What did you make of it?
My immediate reaction was literally, this is the best rivalry in college football. Like,
Ooh.
The Iron Bowl just never misses, man. It's now there's 4 straight games at Jordan-Hare that have either been Auburn wins or Alabama wins by 1 score. Like, this is this was probably the play of the season. Like, because I think that was really the tone of the whole weekend was this was our closest chaos weekend we had all season, and we didn't even want it this weekend because we wanted all these like quarterfinal matchups in conference championship weekend. So it was like, I don't know. One part of me wants to see Auburn shock the world, but it's like part of me wants the Alabama-Georgia game to be a legit quarterfinal game to get to the playoffs. So I haven't seen like newspaper headlines or anything. Do we have a name for this game yet? I've heard you say fourth and forever. I'm going 1 in a Milroe. How about that? 1 in a Milroe, man. 4th and 31. I saw a stat on the SEC Network. The last 3 seasons, teams with 3rd or 4th and 30 plus were 0 for 90 on picking those up. So not even goal or anything, just 3rd and 30 plus, 4th and 30 plus. And now they're 1 for 91 because somehow Milroe is able to pick out Isaiah Bond. It was obviously an insane play. May have gotten away with a little push off in the corner. But I don't know how you don't have 2 guys on every receiver in the end zone. They have to pick up 30 yards. Like, the fact that there's a one-on-one matchup, it's like I don't know how that happens when they need 30 yards on one play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to think about Milroe. Like, it's just someone I think tweeted it was like Bama's running the Michael Vick 2004 Atlanta Falcons offense on Jalen Milroe. And it really is, where it's just like running around and waiting for something to open up and hoping something opens up and saying a prayer, and it works. And so when it looks bad, it looks really bad. But when it looks good, you're like, man, there's a never say die part to this team that's just it's really weird to watch Alabama play like this on offense. But I mean, I don't know what to make of them because, I mean, here's that Connor O'Gara stat, Matt Green, and I'm curious what you think about this. I mean, he has this in his column in Saturday Down South that I highly encourage you to go read. Quote, since the start of that 2021 season, Alabama was in a 1-score game in the 4th quarter 18 times in 24 SEC games, including 6 of 8 this season. In those 24 SEC contests over the last 3 years, Saban's squad is 21-3, including an 8-0 mark this year. At some point, it's not just luck. At some point, Alabama and Nick Saban is just an unreal closer and an unreal coach when games are tight, when games are close. I mean, it's one of those, that's like why he's the GOAT stat. And I understand Kirby's at the top of the sport, but I mean, that's bonkers. Like Saban pulling that many wins when they're that close, it's unbelievable. Like, I mean, I don't know. What do you make of that?
That is a great stat. I mean, we know Nick Saban is like the greatest college football coach of all time. So it's not surprising, but I'll be honest, that kind of feeds into my thinking of the whole dynasty being dead thing, because this is not how Alabama used to play. They didn't have to escape 75% of their SEC games by one score. You know, it's like they used to just murder you until you just questioned your life decisions in the third and fourth quarter. Like they would they were a different level. And now it seems like every good team they play, it's a slugfest. And this is not even a good Auburn team. This is now the second straight time you've gone to Jordan-Hare versus a 6-win Auburn team and had to pull one out of your ass. Honestly, like, I mean, last time they had the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and they had to go 98 yards in the final, minute and a half to send it to overtime. So now you're taking a 6-5, now 6-6 Auburn team, like, that just got blasted by New Mexico State the week before. And this team was just gashing you left and right. Like the way they were able to run the ball on Alabama was honestly insane. So it was kind of similar to how the Georgia, like this game was obviously way more in the balance than the Georgia Auburn game was, but somehow without any real contribution from the quarterback, like Auburn was able to be in this game in the fourth quarter. And they obviously they should have won this game, like with the muffed punt and the 4th and 31 or 4th and goal from the 31. Like it's definitely one that just got away. Like I honestly, it's one of those, I don't know if it's better to win. Obviously it's always better to win. And it's the in-state bragging rights. But like you beat Alabama, then it's like, why the hell did we go? They beat 7-5 at that point. Why the hell did we go 7-5 if we're good enough to beat Bama? How do we just get blasted, get boat raced by New Mexico State if we're able to beat Bama? And I think it goes into kind of my feeling of they were probably preparing for Alabama for 2 weeks and overlooking New Mexico State. But why are we not able to overlook New Mexico State and still get a win by 3-4 touchdowns? So it's kind of a catch-22, but I think the biggest thing kind of relaying this, how it's going to apply to Georgia, is you saw how Auburn was attacking Jalen Milroe in this game, like just forcing him to be in the pocket and just making him win from the pocket. But it's like they could do it for 5-6 seconds at a time. And then they're like, I want to sack him. And then they would just lose containment, and then he'd run and he'd take off. So I think you're going to see Georgia do the same thing and just keep him in the pocket the way they kind of did with Joe Milton. But I think you're going to see Georgia play a much more disciplined and defensively, and unlike this Auburn team. So I think that's my biggest takeaway is like you saw what Auburn was trying to do, and you were like, they let him out again. I don't know how. And part of that, obviously, you got to credit Jalen Milroe. He's just an insane athlete. But I that's the biggest thing that I question if they're going to be able to recreate in the SEC championship.
I do love that take, though, that it's like, yeah, it's cool. Like, to your point, like, Saban deserves a lot of credit for being able to continually win football games this way. But to your point, that I think is a really good one, is that, like, it's a bad sign that he's in this many close games in the SEC, that everyone's caught up to him, that he's in one-score games over and over and over again, and he's in a dogfight with bad Auburn teams in back-to-back trips to Jordan-Hare. Like, this is not good that you're in this situation. You shouldn't be down 20-7 at the half to an inferior Tennessee team this year. You shouldn't be in these positions where you have to be excellent down the stretch to survive. And I mean, that's a huge difference between like being Clemson right now and being Nick Saban at Alabama. Like, they were suffering the same thing where they're not doing it. They're not dominating the conference like they've been at the pinnacle of the dynasty. And I don't hate that take. I think it's a good one. With all that being said, how are you feeling about Georgia, Alabama with the college football playoff on the line? But also, are we sure that the loser is officially eliminated, Matt Green? Because what happens if Alabama beats Georgia? Because I know the gut instinct is like, and this is going to be marketed as whoever loses is going to be eliminated.
Go. Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.